Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Maybe it's the first time you visit us, our channel, and see us for the first time. If that's so, please hit the like button and subscribe button because we love motorbikes and everything that has to do with racing. So more videos like this is coming. In this video, I want to share my 10 things to check before you hit the start button or like Kenny Roxanne, the Kickstarter. I want to start this video by saying thank you to Ljunggren's Motor, which in my opinion is one of the best dealers we have here in Sweden when it comes to KTM bikes. They have so much knowledge and experience, so they just provide you with products that they actually ride and use by themselves. So if you are in Sweden and want to get the right parts directly to your bike, contact Ljunggren's Motor. I also want to say a big thank you to KTM Scandinavia that provided me with this bike and make my riding possible and building this online school that we have for enduro. So thank you Ljunggren's Motor and thank you KTM Scandinavia. Let's get started with the video. Okay, so the first thing I want to bring up is your oil level. Never go out riding with just giving the oil level in your engine a fast check. On the KTM, Husqvarna and GasGas, you have the small window, so it takes just a few seconds to check the oil level. If necessary, maybe you need to fill it up a little bit. The second thing you want to check is your cooling liquid in your radiators. When the engine is cold, before you start the engine, it's getting warm, it's easy to check it so the levels are good. Maybe you got stuck in the last race or the engine heated up, so it started to boil and you lost some fluid. So check that one. After that, we want to check our tension in our spokes. I have this good tool from KTM that is made for the right size for the spokes on KTM, and I guess it's the same for Husqvarna and GasGas. So you get the right tension in your spokes. And then you also want to check the tension on your chain, very important. Maybe the last race was muddy, so the chain got a little bit stretched, so you need to tension it. Or maybe you're gonna do a muddy race and you want to loosen up the chain a little bit, because when it gets mud between the chain and the sprockets, the tension of the chain gets harder. So really important to check your chain. And then we also want to check the air filter, so it's in good condition. Maybe it's time to change it. Since I started to use funnel web filter, I don't change every time, so it's important for me to check. If I'm gonna do a race or a longer ride, I will most certainly change the air filter, put up a good lube one, prevents dust from penetrating the engine, and that we don't want to happen. To continue, I want to check the air in my forks, just loosen up the air screw, and most often I hear a little bit air coming out, so really important. What I also check with the forks is the fork bolts, so they are tightened and good. I also check the levels of the forks in the triple clamp, so they are in the right level for the right type of riding I'm gonna do. Can be necessary to do some adjustments. Then I also check the forks for leakage. If there is any leakage, it's good to do it in the garage. What you can do is to use the tool like this. So you just take the cover, the fork cover, down, and then you put this between the fork and the gasket, and you can clean it out. If they got any dust or mud stuck in there, you can get it out, and it can help the leakage to stop. So a good tool to have with you. And the next tip, I don't always do it, but if it's time for race, I prefer to do it. It's to check your sag settings, so you know that it's correctly set up for the type of riding you're gonna do, and that you know that the sag setting is correct. And of course, I want to check my race gear, so I have everything I need for that specific race or training. Everything from riding gear, protection to goggles, yeah, everything you need for that training or race. It's so annoying to come out to the racetrack or the race and you don't have the right type of goggles for that specific race. What I highly recommend to do is a checklist that you always have with you, because it will save time and it will also make you relax more, that you know you have a checklist. You can check, okay, I have everything planned, so you can focus on the race. You know that all your equipment, everything is in order. And these two last things I want to mention is mostly when we go out racing, but actually one of them can also be necessary to check and have with you when you do some training, because some training areas you actually have, so you can use your transponder and get times on the laps or the track that you're riding on. But check so the transponder is charged and that you have your transponder number, and also so you have your transponder mounting. that everything is in place. Sometimes when I do service on my fork, I take it off, so really important to check so it's in place. And the last thing I want to check before a race is that I have the right number and the right background color for that specific race. And actually the last thing I want to mention is to start the bike, press the start button and do it before you go out to the track or the race, because sometimes, especially on one Husqvarna that I had, if the air filter was new and it was a little bit wet, it was quite hard to start the bike. And sometimes I had to start it a few times. So I prefer to start it before I load it into the car and see so everything is running and working properly. And a last thing I want to mention, I ride with Moose, so I don't mind to check the pressure in my tires. But if you're riding with a hose, you're of course good to check the pressure in your tires. I think that's it. Then it's time to hit the start button, second time if you already started, and then go out racing and having fun. As I mentioned, why I bring this up is because if you have a controlled scenario where you go through the bike, you check the oil levels, you check the spokes and everything I mentioned, then preventing from damaging the bike or yourself if you forgot any protection and you decide to go ride anyway. So this is the things I check, especially when going a race. If I do training sessions, I maybe don't check the sag setting, I don't mind the transponder often and the numbers and so on. But hey, I hope you like this video. Share in the comments if you have anything you always check on your bike before go out racing or training. Thank you for watching, see you in the next video. Boom!